Alright guys, I thought I'd start things out a little different tonight. Sorry if my audio is not as good, my mic's not hooked in yet, but it will be here shortly. I'm in a slightly different location than usual. So, you might have seen a picture of this background leak. It was literally a picture of this background. And so as I zoom my tripod out here, whoop, excuse my messy basement, I just don't have a better place for doing all of this. That is actually a scale garage. I'm going to have other different backgrounds, so on and so forth. There will be, in the future here, coming the next couple days, the next week or so, a pre-order on these. I don't have price point worked out or all of that, but they are banner material, 13 millimeter. There will be options for double-sided, so on and so forth. Lots of options, lots of cool stuff, and will be 100% available for purchase on my website. So I'm going to flip the so this is where I'm going to introduce myself. My name's Adam Van Ord. I am the host of Live at 945, and I'm also moving around all over the place because I wanted to show you that cool new backdrop that I've got going on. So don't mind me as I get things set up. I apologize for all of that. I have to hook my mic up, so on and so forth, get things ready for you. But Matt is on, waiting and standing by. So if you know Matt, you would know that he just got Facebook hacked a little earlier, and as a result, hopefully everything's going to go well for us, and we'll go from there. I'm going to plug in my mic, get my audio ready, and then I'll begin to bring Matt on. So, like I said, my name is Adam Van Ord. You're watching Live at 945. This is a weekly live interview show on Facebook Live where I talk to some various cool people in the hobby. I just kind of pick who I choose, and they do great things. Matt is a scale builder. He's built some amazing rigs. He's also one of the people who built one of the trophy rats. So it was between him and Scott, and I've already interviewed Scott, so it's cool to see the other side of the story. We'll talk about that a little bit. One of the nice things you can do as Matt is coming in, tell us where you're watching from, smash that like button, the heart button, whatever you want, but give us some input, and I'll bring Matt on screen. All right. So don't mind me as I make sure everything's lined up and set up. And so he is being added as we speak. We're connecting, and things should be good to go. How's it going?
Hey.
Good.
How are you?
Thanks for letting me start the show a little differently this week. I just couldn't pass up the opportunity. I picked that up today, and I was blown away, so had to share.
Yeah, no problem, man. That was really cool to see all that.
Yeah.
That was cool. Great opening.
Thanks. I try. a little awkward with moving around.
Gave me time to deal with all that hacking nonsense too.
Yeah.
So.
Yep.
What a pain in the butt that was.
Dude, I don't doubt. So my Facebook notifications were all over the place because I'm trying to set up my phone and all the things so that I can actually like make it all work. And like half of the Facebook notifications that I saw were all like people notifying you that you were hacked. So it was I'm sure it was super fun.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm sitting there working, and then all of a sudden I go back to my phone just before break, and there's like 50-something messages, and I'm like, what the heck is going on here? So that was just insane. Then Facebook finally just booted me out of there, and I had to go through and redo everything. So
Gotcha. So, all right. My first question for you, man, is to just tell us a little bit about yourself. So not really a question, more of a, hey, give us some input.
Yeah, well, obviously I'm Matt Lass, owner of Ratboy RC. Live in Kenosha, Wisconsin. Basically that's it.
All right. How long have you been in the hobby?
Oh, gosh. I was kind of on and off for like 13 years there for a while. But then as soon as like Axial came out with like that first SCX-10, right. I forgot which that old body style it had on there. Once in that I started getting back into it. Then knew that first Honcho came out, and I just had to get one. Ever since then, I've just been hooked and just going crazy with it.
Awesome. I don't blame you one bit. What was your first hobby grade RC that you started out with?
Oh, let me see here. That was the Traxxas Rustler. I think it was from like 1996 or something around there. A long time ago.
That's been a minute by now, so.
Yeah, old school. You turn it off and the sucker just takes off. lost it once
Yeah,
that way.
I don't doubt that one bit. I started a little later on, so I didn't have that as much of an issue, but I hear there's some good stories to be had from some people. So,
Yeah.
if you weren't in RC, what hobby would you be in and why?
Oh gosh, that would probably either be hockey or doing BMX biking. I used to do both of them back when I was a little
Yeah.
bit younger. So now it would just be men's league. I go sub for hockey every now and then, but it would definitely probably be one of those.
Did you race? I came from a BMX racing background, so just curious.
I raced for a couple of years and then kind of left that and then started getting into the tricks and jump in, just go and do all that kind of stuff.
Yep. I raced for like 8 years and did like the whole national scene and all that, then left that and came back to it in college and did some dirt jumping and so on and so forth. So
yeah, I did racing for just a couple of years and then we actually kind of maybe about 20 minutes from Kenosha and Racine area. They have like a good skate park down there and everything, so it was a lot of fun. My first job was working at a bike shop and everything.
Nice.
So
that's a cool first job.
Yeah, for sure.
So my next question is big tires or small tires?
I'd have to go with small. You can't beat, you want to go with scale, small tire is definitely where it's at. I usually don't go over anything up from a 1.9. I've tried the 2.2s, tried, the taller tires. I just really can't get into it.
Fair enough.
So I stay around the small tires. I love the challenge that it gives you, but also, when you're doing scale building, you just can't beat that.
Right. I agree. It's harder to scale to a 2.2 than it is a 1.9 for sure.
Yeah.
Brushed or brushless?
Well, not really too picky when it comes to that. I kind of like them both. They both have their plus and minuses. Brushed, I like. You can't beat the price, that's for sure. And so with you're out on the trail just doing some scale trailing by yourself or something, motor goes out, you got a cheap motor, change it out super quick. Brushless, you just can't beat the power and the smoothness that you get from it too.
Yeah.
So
I tend to agree with your sentiment on both of those. So my next question down the list here is what do you like most about RC or the RC hobby in general? And I'm going to kind of toss that one to everybody out there that's commenting and such as well. And so just guys, throw up what you like most about this hobby, specifically the crawling scene, and you too, Matt. So
what I like about it the most, it's fun, it's challenging, but definitely the different type of people that you meet from it.
Yeah,
I would definitely have to go with something like that. You just can't beat. I've met some pretty amazing people out there since I've gotten into the hobby. So I'd definitely have to say it's got to be the people.
That's awesome. And so speaking of the people, I want to thank the 50-some people who are watching right now and logging in and tuning in, and the people who've been tuning in every week. You guys are awesome. I totally appreciate it. And so my shout out to you right now is this. Don't think we're ignoring your comments. We're totally not. We'll come back and answer them at the end. But to keep the flow of the interview moving, especially for Matt since he is at work currently, but not working. He's got a break specifically so I could have a conversation with him. We need to keep our flow moving and so on and so forth. So, but thank you guys, and we will go back through and kind of touch base on all the comments. I read them all afterwards. So.
Yeah, I'll go through and touch base on some of the comments as much as I can.
Absolutely. Next one down my list. Do you compete in any scale related competitions?
Yeah, I do. Yes, a lot local to me. A good friend of mine, Jamie Fisher, he hosts a really good comp. I just posted a bunch of pictures at JFR RC Park. I really like going to that one because Jamie really tries to keep with the scale touch to it. He's got all kinds of houses and barns posted up out there. That's a lot of fun. Get out there to do that. Have fun scale. Definitely go do some videos too. It's a lot of fun to do that. Rock Valley Rock Crawlers, Stephen Martin, he's host some awesome comps around by us. And then I was lucky enough to make it out to K&K last year, and man, that was a blast.
Yeah. Everybody says you got to go to K&K, and I'm hoping I'll be there at least for a little bit this year, if not the whole time. So.
Yeah. I mean, K&K is awesome, you know, and I definitely got to meet a lot of people that I've been wanting to meet too. You know, it's, you know, from Matt Kett at Scale Builders Guild, Michael Blazer and Scott, you know, all them guys, all kinds of people.
Yeah, I hear you. It's one of the cool things about going to a bigger comp or a bigger weekend style event. So.
Yeah, for sure.
What is your favorite event, would you say?
K&K, that by far. You know, it's Mike puts on one heck of a scale competition. You know, I was just blown away by all the effort and work that him and his crew go through to put on such a great competition. Me and my wife actually went to that last year, and it was just a blast for us. You know, a good vacation. I definitely like to take my kids with me sometime.
Right.
So, I mean, and like I said, all the people that I got to meet.
Awesome. So you're I guess known, you could say, for scale building and your scale building abilities. So thinking way back to when you were first starting, what was your first styrene build? So the first thing that you made from styrene.
First thing that I made from styrene would have been the step side bed on the Gray Ghost 2, for those that know the truck. It was a clod body that I turned into a step side. It was a replica build of a customer's truck. So that would have been the first one, as for say, my very first complete scratch build was the trophy wrap.
That's awesome. It turned out amazing. I don't have any other way to say it. So, next item on my list here: how many trucks have you built to this point?
Honestly, I can't even. I tried counting it up earlier. I can't even keep track of it. You know, it's between my own, for myself, it was probably around 20. But I've done so many bodies out there. You know, it's. Just can't even keep count.
And so you say customer trucks. Let's touch on that a little bit. Customers that you have. So you do what exactly for the people who are out there who are watching this that don't know? They're seeing your face for the first time. What do you do?
Well, people just contact me. They either want a body or just something built. We'll kind of go through the process of, you know, finding out what they want and then go from there. There was one, Christopher James Domingo, I'll use him as an example, contacted me years ago, had this idea for a cloud body to make it into a 6-door. He wanted the hood tilted, drop bed, dually. He wanted the bed to tilt up. So we just ended up making it happen, you know. Got with him, figured all that out, and I talked to him the other day to see where he was at on it. He's still working on it. He's got it in storage at the moment right now, but be excited to see that one done.
Absolutely. That sounds like a huge truck.
Yeah, it was, you know, and whenever anybody contacts me about something that they want, you know, I just try to get to the point right away. Tell me exactly how you want it, and I'll make it that way.
Yeah, man, that's awesome. That's perfect thing if they're contacting a custom builder. So if you want it your way, but you don't have the skills or the time or whatever, you're the guy. Yeah. What are the necessary building tools for a newbie? So just starting out with styrene, don't really know what you're doing. What are the necessary ones to just begin that process?
Definitely some type of hobby knife, utility knife. I prefer the X-Acto hobby knife. You can't go wrong with that. You know, it's takes a little bit longer, but just a couple of passes and it's good to go. Or you just do the couple of passes and then just snap the styrene. Sandpaper, obviously, and either for the smaller build things that you got to do, you know, just a simple little scale ruler or something works out good. Metal, obviously, plastic, you're gonna end up ripping right through it.
What would you say is like your number one tool that you can't live without? Like, it might be obscure. People would be like, wow, you use that as a tool. What's something that you have that's unique and you use all the time?
Uh, Definitely the hobby knife is something that I'm using
Yeah.
all the time. That or the Dremel. I got an old school Dremel that I just love. It's a powerhouse and it just rips through stuff. Just really getting into the full 100% scratch builds. It's a lot of
Yeah.
shaping that you got to do. So the Dremel's definitely a must thing to do if you're going to end up 100% full
Hmm.
scratch.
I agree. Mine gets a fair share of a workout for sure. Uh,
Yeah.
so there's a bunch of different options for glues out there, and people use various things for various situations. What are some of your favorites, and why would you choose to use one over the other?
My favorites are Instacure and then the Plastistruct Bondi.
Hmm.
I'll show. I brought some of them in so everybody can see. I also use an accelerator whenever I'm using the Instacure.
Yep.
These are some of my favorites. The Bondi just really, it kind of melts the plastic and really gets a good bond to it. Insecure somewhat does the same thing, but usually, like a building cowl hoods or something, I'll use more of the Insecure and everything.
All right.
Kind of builds it
Yeah.
quick, fast. I usually get a lot of orders on the cowl hoods, so
Yep. So one of the cool things that you're saying is that the Instacure and the accelerator. For those of you who've never used accelerator before, it's worth every cent. It keeps your build progressing, and you don't have to stop all the time and wait.
yeah, you don't have to sit there and wait 5, 10 minutes for a little tiny piece to hold. Just give a little spray, and you got to hold it just a couple of seconds, and
Yeah,
it's done.
definitely speeds the process up.
Definitely go slow with it. Keep it away from your fingers and hands. I'm always getting it on my fingers. It's just ripped my skin off
Yep.
like crazy.
Yeah, I've been there. Or it builds up and you have like glue fingers. Those are always nice.
Yeah,
uh,
part stuck to your hand.
right? What materials would you recommend for someone like you're gonna start a build of some kind? What are the things like get these things in order and then start your build?
Yeah, if you're gonna start a build, just do your research on it first. Make sure you know exactly what you want.
Yep.
As far as supplies, start off with just the basics. Just some simple flat styrene. Usually, my go-to for almost everything is usually around 40 to 80 thousandths thick.
Okay.
Something a little bit easier to work with.
Awesome. And so after I talk to more and more scratch builders, I notice they always say 40 or more thousands thick. It's an interesting conversation because I watch other people start and it's too thin. They struggle, and so it's interesting that more of the people who are doing more involved things are using a thicker styrene. I think it's worth noting.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, for sure. And from what I've been finding out too, the more that I'm learning as I go along with it too, the thick. Usually when it comes to shaping, thicker for me is better. You always want to use as much styrene as possible. I always see it all the time too. People talking about their fillers and
yeah.
putties. That's one thing to try to get away from. Pretty big mentor of mine, James Heath, always told me, always use more styrene than you use your, whatever people are using for
Yeah.
putty. It ends up just sinking in and cracking. You're just wasting your time basically.
Yeah. So one of the tricks that I did to kind of get away from that and cheat the system a little bit is I just melt the styrene with some MEK and I make my own putty out of the styrene itself and then smooth. So you can still have a mistake here and there and then it doesn't sink. It's like putting plastic on plastic, just liquid form. So
Yeah. The other little trick I'll share with everybody, and especially the newbies, the Instacure, it's a really good filler type glue. It's medium, kind of like a gap filling. On the clod bodies, they have them holes that you try to fill in and stuff.
Yep.
I'll usually put a piece of styrene on the back and then just section by section fill up that hole with the glue. It just I have never had a problem with that. It hardens up super hard. Just sand it down a little bit, smooth, and away you go, you know.
Yeah, and that's a great tip because cutting a little tiny circle that small is not exactly easy.
No, I mean you can get the round stuff,
Yeah.
you know, styrene, but you know, not everybody's got the access to figuring out the correct size, you know.
Yep. I know exactly what you're talking about. So I have to kind of break from the way our conversation is headed and talk about a post you made the other day. And you
Yeah.
picked 3 trucks, you put them in a post, and you said upcoming builds. And I had to pick my jaw up off the floor. First off, I've wanted to build the Hawk 45 forever. I just haven't taken it on because it's a really big project. And then the other 2 are just unique and cool. So can you tell us a little bit about why those choices and what's going on there?
Well, the Hawk 45, I mean, why not? I mean, that rig is just absolutely insane. You guys are going to see some big things from that one, that's for sure. I got big plans, big ideas for that one. And then the other 2 are just exactly the way you said. You know, they're very unique. You know, I like to pick stuff that's just out of there. You know, they just look so crazy. You know, that bug with the tracks on the back and everything looks so good.
Yeah. No, definitely unique, super cool stuff. So I would definitely be checking out and following Matt because as those builds come along, they're going to be amazing. And so, quick question, side question, Matt, have you gotten to see the Hawk 45 like in person?
Not in person, no.
Yeah. So I was lucky.
No.
And the Bantam Jeep Festival is near me in PA here, and it was there, and so it's as cool in person as you would ever think it is. So. Definitely.
Oh God, yeah. I mean, I've been trying to capture and find every picture possible. You know how it's got those, I don't know if you call them like tribal details or something, like in the turbo and all that
like
kind of stuff. Like I plan on
old style, like calligraphy type, like old Western type deal going on.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's gonna take forever to do it, but I plan on carving all that into styrene and everything. It's gonna have it all.
I will be following that one without a doubt. From start to finish. So it kind of segues me into how do you plan a build from start to finish? So like you've got these trucks, you've picked them out. Now what are the next steps?
Basically, what I do is I kind of study the picture and kind of notice every little detail into it, and then just kind of go from there. You know, what can I find that's going to be available for me? As far as like axles, wheels, tires, kind of go from there. And then if there's something that isn't available that maybe I can have drawn up, 3D printed, or even just make myself, you know, try to figure out what's going to be available, what I'm going to have to, you know, dig in deeper and try to find and build myself. Right.
Excuse me, guys. So when you build your trucks, you're saying like I look at all these details, I figure everything out. Do you use precise measurements, or are you kind of like an eyeball it and make it look good kind of
guy? No, I'm pretty much an eyeball guy. I'll use the measurements when I have to, but you know, I got pretty good vision, so you got her down.
It's the glasses, man. They're really helpful. Everybody I talk to is like measure it perfectly, and I'm like, I don't know. Not real good at that math thing. What is one thing that you'll never leave off of a scale build?
It's got to be the driver. For me, it's 2 things. It's driver and interior. It's got to have it. Driver for sure. I mean, even if it doesn't have an interior, I'll still whip a driver in there. It's got to have them. It just looks too weird with a truck ghost riding out there, and I got to have it.
That makes perfect sense. So I'm going to pose that to the people who are watching, that guys out there in the land of Live at 945, what is the thing that you have to leave on your scale build? Like you have to put it on there. You can't do it without it. So I'm going to segue that into my next question for you, Matt, and say you met Scott, I know at K&K last year, but the 2 of you built the Trophy Rats like simultaneously and kind of shared progress along the way and talked to people and so on and so forth. can we hear your side of the story? Like Scott told it a little bit, but I'd love to hear the other side of the saga of the Trophy Rats.
Yeah, I mean, I don't remember it from full story, but Scott and I were just kind of checking out bodies, or we were doing something at K&K, and we just got to talking about our builds, and I forgot who it was that mentioned about the Trophy Rat, and we realized that we were both deciding to build the same thing, so we decided that we wanted to kind of do it together, kind of give everybody a chance to see how a build is going to come together from two different builders,
Right.
basically. Scott did an amazing job. I thought it was super fun to do. You can definitely see the two different build styles, and especially how fast they go. Scott, I don't know how he does it so fast. He does it amazing and fast, and I'm slow. I love to go slow. I like to take my time. I like to nail the details, and not that Scott's not. I prefer to go a little bit slower.
That's fair, man. Sometimes it takes me forever to build something.
Yeah, same here.
You've also built a bunch of really awesome stuff and have it out there. I know you're at work, so I don't know if you have anything really to show off, but do you have any? You probably don't have anything with there, right?
The only thing I got with me here is my Honcho build. The new SCX 10-2 Honcho. This is my budget build that I'm doing. Just a couple of things. Like I've been doing some 3D printing myself, so I've been teaching myself CAD files and stuff. Well, I designed the propane tank to go on the back of there because I really hated that sticker fuel cell. So I kind of went with that, but I did end up doing my own scratch built interior for inside. If you guys can see that at all inside there. So, I mean, that was a lot of fun, but as far as any of the other builds, no. Like I said, a lot of the stuff was for other people, or, given with the new year, I kind of wanted to go fresh.
Yeah. So I'm going to kind of ad lib for a second based off of what we talked about the other night when we ran our test. And you had said on the back, your taillights have something special going on. And we kind of talked a little bit about where that came from and what's going on there. Do you care to maybe elaborate a little bit on that? Because, I mean, I thought it was unique. Not everybody kind of takes that approach. And I know I do, but it's a unique one.
Yeah, it wasn't the taillights. It was those, I don't know if can you see it in the camera? Those little hinge pieces there.
Yeah.
So I ended up just taking that from a piece of scrap metal because I work at a metal stamping factory. Now that was just a piece of scrap metal that I used to try to make some swing hinges. I got that idea from Josh at Harley Designs. I've been watching his and Matt at Scale Builder Guild. I've been watching their budget builds. Them guys are just going insane with all that. It's so fun to watch. So I kind of got that idea from him. So I just found some scrap. I'm like, oh man, this looks like it'd be perfect. And sure enough, it fit inside inside the cage perfectly.
Right. Yeah. No, and that's awesome. And so that's one of the things that I do. And I don't know if everybody else does that. I guess I'll pose another question, guys. Like, is that something you do? Do you just look around like your house? Do you look around where you're at and like, oh, I'll snag that.
Yeah.
And we'll see what I can make out of it.
Exactly. Just look around. Almost anything. Who is it? God, I'm trying to remember his name, but I think he's part of the 2 Chainz.
Okay.
So he ended up making this crazy cool looking old school farm looking truck, but it was a lawn ornament from Walmart.
Nice.
It was just the body, and he ended up turning it into an RC car. The thing was absolutely insane. So cool to check out.
Right. Yeah, and that's the type of thing, the whole unique aspect, the changing things around, just using what's around. It doesn't have to be a super expensive hobby. It can just be a minimally expensive hobby.
Yeah, exactly.
So, who are your influences in the scale crawling segment of what's going on? So like, who are you following? What are you watching? And if you could pick someone and say, hey, you should interview that person, who would it be?
Definitely the guy that influenced me when I first started getting into it was James Heath. Um, just are you familiar
I
with
am,
James at
and
all?
so I've followed a bunch of his stuff. He goes in and out of things over the last year or so, but for a while he was like
Yeah,
really into it, and then he blew my mind because he was cutting stuff on a Cricut for the dash of the Power Wagon he's building, and I was like,
yeah,
how have none of the rest of us done this? So
yeah, yep. And it was stuff like that. You know, I was just getting started out with the scale scene, and you know, his blazer just caught my eye, and ever since then, you know, I was asking him questions. He was giving me real great advice. You know, giving me great advice on building cowls and everything
mm-hmm.
like that. You know, so he was definitely a big influence for me,
Yeah,
and you know, it was really great to follow him and learn from him on certain
yeah.
things.
And so one of the unique things that you alluded to, but I'm just going to call it to attention, is that clearly you made contact with him and then sent some messages, and the two of you talked. And
Mhm.
I think that one of the reasons why I started this live at 9:45 thing was to say to all of the people who are watching it or whatever that all these people are real people. Like, you can message them, they're probably going to respond to you. Like, they're down to earth, they're nice guys. And that's why I'm interviewing them, like, to get you to get to know them a little bit. But I mean,
Yeah, exactly. You know, don't be afraid. You know, if you're just starting out, don't be afraid to ask
right.
questions. You know, everybody's pretty good hearted and willing to help you out. You know,
Yeah,
we're all in it for fun.
absolutely. And we're all in it to see it grow too. All the people that I've interviewed at least are trying to be a positive force and help grow the community and the scale scene as a whole. So
Yeah.
um, what is your favorite build that's out there that is not your own?
You know, that's a good question. You know, it is extremely hard to choose because there are so many out there. But when I really just sit down and
Mhm.
think about it, hands down, it is Matthew Ketz, uh, the local hawk. That 6x6 steam powered is just absolutely mind blowing. You know, it's an eye opener
Yeah,
for sure.
and so he posted it this week, and I knew it was there. We talked a little bit about it in his feed, and I just haven't had the time to really get in and like read his thread over on Scale Builders Guild. And I started, and so I got like 3 pages in, and um, something came up, you know, toddler stuff, and I had to go do something, and I haven't gotten back to it yet. But it is definitely on my list of things to read, and that's where I'm headed. Like, man, I just want to know how it works. So that's one of the unique parts of the forum versus Facebook is you can go in and see how it works, where on Facebook you just get some pictures.
Yeah, exactly. Mhm.
So I guess I'm going to skip a question or two and go to the forums versus Facebook thing because it's kind of a good segue. Uh, do you prefer the forums or do you prefer Facebook, and why?
Well, honestly, I started off on Facebook, but a couple of months, I've just recently got onto Scale
Mm-hmm.
Builders Guild, and to be honest with you, I do prefer the forums. Um, with all the Facebook drama and all the nonsense that goes on in there, you know, it's just becoming too much. You know, whereas in the forum, it's back to the basics. You know, it's all about the fun of it, the builds, the people that are building it. You know, I really like that
Yeah,
stuff.
I agree. And there's so much good information like available with just a couple clicks. Where on Facebook you get everybody's opinion and not always necessarily like the words that back it all up. Um, so
Yeah,
just my 2 cents. I don't know if I prefer one over the other. Facebook definitely has its positives, that's for sure.
it does. It does, and that's why it makes that question kind of hard because every single one of them have their own positives, and you know, it is what it is. But I do really like the forums.
Yeah.
It's just you know, Facebook. I mean, as far as posting it, it's easy.
Yep.
It's simple to do. But like you said, you know, you get all the random nonsense
Yeah.
bullcrap that comes with it.
Yeah. It's I still think it's worthwhile and definitely worth being there. But one of my new favorites at the moment would probably be Instagram. Uh, it's just pretty much just pictures. Like a lot of the text is left out of it, so you just look. It's kind of cool.
Yeah, and actually, I've been posting a lot more on Instagram than I have been Facebook. I mean, I'm not really in posting a lot in groups anymore. It's either just my Rat Boy page, Instagram, or in. Lately, I haven't had time to post on the forums. You know, I've been super busy lately. So
yeah,
hopefully start working back into that.
I agree. And once you fall behind, then you have like 8 posts you have to post because you're so far behind in your build that posting. So it's always a good time. What is your best piece of advice for a scale newbie? Just bought the ready to run truck, heading out there. What do you tell them?
Go drive it first. By hands down, go drive it, get the feel for it. You know, you can't, for me, you can't decide on what you want to do until you really drive it. You know, you want to upgrade stuff, you need to drive it first to really see how the vehicle is performing and how it's going to handle out there.
I couldn't agree more, man. I drove the wheels off of my Honcho when I first bought it. Every day, I worked 45 minutes from home, and I drove through the National Forest on the way home and stop, drive it, run a battery through it, come home, just wore it out. But that's how you learn things and figure out what's strong and what breaks and all that good stuff.
Yeah, sure.
So
exactly. Yep. You know, I've been doing the same thing with this budget build, you know, getting out there, driving it and find out what's wrong with it and, you know, change things from there.
I agree. Where do you see our scale crawling community heading in the upcoming years?
I only see it getting bigger. You know, things are just going to keep progressing as it's going along. You know, it's you can see, you know, steam powered RC. They're just everything's going to just keep getting bigger. Right. You know, the bars, the limits are just going to keep being pushed.
Right. I agree. I think that people are pushing it way to the edge and then some. And I've noticed it. I've noticed that really take a huge shift over the last probably 2 years. And just a huge leap in that direction. So Matt, I have to ask, do you currently have any sponsors? And if you do, why have you chosen to represent those people?
No sponsors for me. No sponsors. There is something that's in the works, but I don't know if I can really even say anything. So until then, just under wraps.
I hear you. Nice. So my last question is, what can we expect to see next from you? Like, what's on the plate?
Just endless possibilities. I'm going to be going insane with scratch builds coming up. You know, the Hawk 45. I definitely going to want to watch that one. That's going to be a mind blower. I really plan to myself just raise the bar, just change the way it is. You know, I want to just go scale.
Yeah.
You know, I just want to set it to a whole new level.
Awesome. Well, I can't wait for one because that truck is killer and it's going to be such an amazing build. I can't wait to see what you do with it. Everybody has their own little tweak and style they throw on everything, and I definitely dig yours on the Trophy Rat and some of the other stuff you've done. So I can't wait to see where it goes. So I guess we're kind of wrapping it up here, and from my end, I want to say thank you for being on. I genuinely appreciate it. Thank you for taking the little break out of work and letting me interview you and have this discussion and all that good stuff.
Yeah, thank you, man. It was a real honor to be on. You know, I definitely had a blast doing it.
Yeah, they get more fun every time I do them because I just like talking to all these people that I don't always get to talk to. So for me, it's like sitting around a campfire having a chat, and then all these other people like make comments and stuff.
Yeah. Right.
So do you have anything else that you want to say, shout out, any of those things before I let you go and kind of close the show out?
No, not really. Just say thanks. I'd like to say hi to my kids. I see my wife's not watching, and I know my boys are watching, so I'd like to say hi to all my kids and my wife.
Yeah, that's a perfect shout out. Nice.
You know, without their support towards me, it would be real hard to be doing everything that
Yeah,
I
I
do.
hear you. It definitely, I mean, it's a time-consuming hobby for sure.
It definitely is. That's another thing for a newbie, watch how much you really spend your time on it, spread it out, use it wisely. Don't just sit there and be on the RC the entire time. Don't forget about your life at
Right.
home.
I agree completely. That's some solid advice. Um, all right, man. Well, I'm gonna let you go if you don't have anything else to add, and thank you one more time for being on, and then I'll kind of close out the show.
All right,
All
cool,
right,
man.
see ya.
Thanks.
So,
Yep.
all right. Okay, so to kind of sum things up, if you didn't realize it already, you're watching Live 945. I'm Adam Van Ord, all those good things. Some other things that I want to kind of bring up. If you caught the beginning of this video, awesome. There's kind of a nice little gem in the beginning of this video. If you didn't catch the beginning of this video, go back and watch it, because I just unveiled what is coming next from Van Ord Customs. So I'm going to also give you some info as where you can find other things from me. VanOrdCustoms.com is my website. You can buy plates and banners, and very, very shortly, the thing that was at the beginning of this video. Additionally, you can find me on YouTube under Van Ord Customs. On YouTube, I am taking these videos and shuffling them over there before I dump them to my website. And so all of the most recent videos, the ones with higher quality before when I was jumbling around and kind of learning the ropes, those ones aren't on there, but the probably latest 8 or 10 are on my website. You can go back and watch any of those live feeds. They're awesome. Some of the video quality is not perfect, but the audio is there, and they're just full of good information and lots of interviews from cool guys. Additionally, the last thing is you can check out is my Instagram, VanOrd_customs. That's where I post a lot of my build thread stuff. I try to post something new there daily, if not every couple days, and just kind of keep things flowing. So lastly, I want to thank you all for tuning in. Check out what's coming up in the future. I definitely have Ben Morin coming next week, and then more people lined up. Joshua Kane Elliott and a few other people who are on their way. Last but not least, again, check out the website, watch for releases on the Facebook page, the Instagram, so on and so forth. I will be doing a pre-order on the thing that was at the beginning of this video. All right? So, thank you all for being on. I appreciate it, and I'm going to sign off for this week's episode of Live at 9:45, and I will catch you all next week. Have a good night.